Hello and welcome to another travel vlog. So many of my viewers have requested, could I possibly do the journey from A to B when I'm traveling rather than just do the resorts or the hotels? Could I do the full journey? Now, at the beginning of the channel, I thought about adding this in, but then I thought, are people just going to be fed up watching me get on an aeroplane? They're all very, very similar to each other. But now the amount of requests I've had since I've started this channel is, I've had hundreds of them. Please do the travel. So at this present moment, I'm in Marrakesh. I'm right in the centre. I'm in the Medina and I'm travelling to London Gatwick on WIZZ Air. So this video is now going to show you how I get from the Medina in Marrakesh using a transfer service which I've got booked for 7:15. This is AM because my flight is 10:20 with WIZZ Air over to London Gatwick. Now there is a slight problem with WIZZ Air regarding the boarding pass. I'll tell you more about that when I get at Marrakesh Airport. I'll see you there. Oh, just a quickie, my transfer to Marrakesh Airport I've organised through the Riyadh. A little bit more expensive, but at least I'm going to be guaranteed to get to the airport. I don't want to start wandering around at 6:30 in the morning trying to find a taxi somewhere in the Medina of Marrakesh. They can't come into the wall. There's a pedestrianised area, so I'm going to have to go out of the Medina wall and start looking for a taxi. I can't be bothered at this time of the morning. So most of the Riyadh will organise a transfer for you. It's a little bit dearer, but I'm guaranteed to get there. This one's costing €15, which is about 150 dirham. I know you can get one off the road for around about 100 dirham. So for an extra 50 dirham, £4, I'm actually getting taken from the Riyadh out to where my transfer will be, as opposed to me searching the streets at this time of the morning. It's more convenient, it's easier, and that's the way I'm doing it. So I'll see you when I get at Marrakesh Airport. Yes, I've heard the call to prayer all morning since about 4 o'clock. More, like a lot of right, so thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And I hopefully see you again.
Inshallah. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you. Morning. Right, so that took roughly about 15-20 minutes to get to the airport. So here we are at Marrakesh departures. Right through the first part of security. Now the problem I've got, as I was saying before with WIZZ Air, is it tells you that you need to print off the boarding pass. Slight problem with printing it off. When you try to print it off, the boarding pass tab greys out and tells you you've got to come to the desk in the airport, the WIZZ Air desk, and get them to print off your boarding pass. Now, I don't know, is this going to be a charge? Because it does say you need to have a paper boarding pass. You can't use a digital one. You need to have a paper one, but you can't print off the paper one. Even the Riyadh that I've just been in has just said to me, you need your paper boarding pass. That's the slight problem. I can't print it off because there's no way you can print it off. So I'm in the airport now. I'm going to go straight to the WIZZ Air desk and see what they have to say. Check in.
Can you please remove the camera?
It's not on. It's not on. It's okay. Okay. Well, that was quite easy. Got the boarding pass. Now, maybe because I've arrived like 3 hours before my flight, but I can actually see the queue now starting to build up. There was nobody there when I've just gone through, and now there's a huge queue now. So I've just timed it right. Otherwise, you could be standing in the queue for a while. I don't really see the point of this. I don't understand why you've got to queue, especially when you don't have any suitcases. All I've got on is my small under the seat carry-on bag. I don't have any cases to check in, but if I arrived, say, another 20 minutes time, I would be standing in a queue probably for about an hour. Now, they've just said when I did come to get my boarding pass, they asked for the passport and told me to turn this camera off. Well, I'd turn it off if it was on, but it's not even on. Anyhow, let's get through security. I don't know how this is going to work. One way of finding out, let's go through. Through security, through passport control, I would definitely recommend that you get to this airport at least 3 hours before your departure. I was one of the first at the check-in desk, so I got my boarding pass very quickly. Now, I still think it's absolutely stupid that you've got to go to a check-in desk to get a boarding pass. I could have easily printed the boarding pass off at my Riyadh. I did ask them would they print it off. They said they would do, but when I come to try and download the boarding pass on the WIZZ app, it wouldn't work. It told you had to come to the check-in desk to get a printed one off the staff. Now, that's absolutely ridiculous when you don't have any check-in cases, so you've got to stand in that queue. I was lucky enough to, as I said, to be one of the first to get mine, so by the time I turned round there was a massive queue behind me, so I timed it perfectly well. Then I got to security, took out my laptop and my liquids. That was the easy process, packed everything back away, and then I thought, right, I'm through. No, you then have to go through passport control. Now, passport control was manic. It was heaving. So it must have took me from the moment I arrived at the airport to get right through into the departure lounge. Must have took, I'd say, an hour and 20 minutes. Now, you've got to remember, I was one of the first at the check-in desk. Can you imagine if you were in that queue and it was like taking you an hour? That's going to take you over 2 hours, maybe 2.5 hours just to get through to the departure lounge. You'll be boarding straight away, so I would recommend get to the airport at least 3 hours before your departure time. Now I'm going to try and get myself a coffee. Hello, morning.
I'm happy to welcome you on board Airbus A321neo to London Gatwick. We are closing the doors now, that's on time, then we will ask the tower if we can already push back. Maybe a few minutes of delay because of the fog in Gatwick, hopefully no delay. Then we start the engines, taxi to the runway, take off facing east and the left turn to the north, flight of 3 hours 10 minutes. No turbulence, a smooth flight, and fog in Gatwick, but when we come at 2 p.m. it will be better. For now, we let you sit back, relax, listen to the safety with people.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye. Right, so there you have it, my journey from Marrakesh Airport, Medina, through to London Gatwick using WIZZ Air, and I had a private transfer from Marrakesh to the airport. So that brings my video to a close. Basically, WIZZ Air was fine, not a problem with WIZZ Air. Just that little bit of messing around with the boarding pass. They should have made it totally clear. They should have said at the beginning that you get your boarding pass printed at the airport, instead of saying that you cannot use a digital boarding pass and make people panic thinking they need to go and get a printed one when you don't. Not at Marrakesh airport anyhow. So that was a little bit of mess around, but it got sorted. So I'm going to love you and leave you. Try that again. I'm going to love you and leave you with this video, and I'll catch you in the next one. Thanks for watching, and bye for now.